Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm here to tell you about ARDA's new program called GPA. GPA stands for Growing Participator Approach, and it means that you're going to go through the process of learning with sort of a coach or a nurturer, as the GPA program would call it, versus sort of teacher-student traditional learning in a book. So, I'm going to tell you all the details. The little bit of history is that it came from Luwampabang. Before that, it's an open source program. Many languages throughout the world use GPA to teach. It's usually a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 student-teacher ratio, and you're just spending the time kind of like a mom and a toddler, or even a baby. Your goal is to develop your ears first, specifically because this is a tonal language. It's really difficult to hear new sounds that we just don't hear, and the tones. So we've created a number of ways to help you develop your ear. Some of those ways are using a kinesthetic approach to your body. So your teacher is actually going to start teaching you words using pictures and cards like these to be able to tell you what something is. This is a person from Vietnam. This is to swat a fly. This is big city. So your teacher's going to teach you words using cards and flashcards, and you're going to just kind of passively point in the beginning, and your teacher is actually going to use her hands and her body to tell you tones. So if the tone goes high in a may sound, or if the tone goes low and it drops, or if it swoops up like this, your teacher's actually going to use her body or his body to show you the sound and compare for you the different ways that the sounds go. In GPA level 1, there are 6 levels, but ARDA at this time is just doing level 1. We have a 1A and a 1B. You use your body as much as possible. You use real things. We use dolls to represent people. We use real toys or real things throughout class whenever possible, and playing lots of games. Your job is to develop your ear, as I said, so your teacher is going to be constantly questioning you, and you're engaged, fully engaged, figuring out where's the thing, point to the thing. It's sort of like flashcards and fun, but your ear is developing, you're starting to hear it, so it doesn't sound so unfamiliar. In other programs, you start speaking right away. The problem with that is you develop incorrect muscle memory, and then you have habits in your tongue for words that you don't want to say. I can't tell you how many people from the South of America that love to say, sabadi. That is not how you say that, but they got used to learning it from day one, and then they said it incorrectly. That brings me to a second component of GPA. We use it a little bit in 1A, but tremendously in 1B. In 1A, each lesson, you're going to be 90% is, or 80% is vocabulary in the listening form. So you're just showing, kind of getting familiarity with words. And then you'll have conversation cards, pictures like this one, that shows what's happening and what people might say. Hello, good morning, how are you? Goodbye, see you later. You'll learn how to say that with your teacher. But you won't just learn what to say and try to repeat. Your teachers are trained to actually correct your speech so that in a way that is positive, affirming, and helpful. So if you've ever been in a class where you're trying to learn and your teacher just says no, and they just say it to you over and over, you're frustrated. I don't know what my mistake is. They have learned how to correct you in a very helpful, meaningful way that makes you feel safe and encouraged. So that's one great thing in GPA. 1B is all about that. You take those words that you learned, the same words, about 1,500 words that you've learned through the course of 30 lessons. You take all of those words, and then you start to be able to go back and now say them. You've learned to hear them, identify them, become familiar with them. You're probably going to get into trying to use them because you have to survive, you have to speak. But your teachers are going to be teaching you strategic conversations that's essential for your first several months here, and then you'll go back through and you'll be able to master those words and speak them. But what about writing? How will you deal with that? That's one part that we've embedded into the GPA program. I'll tell you that GPA's true methodology, I don't know. I took what I saw and heard was working in Luwampabang, and I just added to it and developed it. I have a master's in educational leadership. I'm an ESL teacher by trade before coming to Laos. So I love language and linguistics, but I found that to not give literacy in a language that is phonetic is a real loss and a real shame. So I apologize to the GPA originators. We are adding the literacy component because we feel like it really helps the majority of students to be able to identify letters and new sounds and be able to write it, because many sounds we just don't have in our first or second languages. So we will be you will be presented with and learning your all of your consonants, all of your vowels, all of the tones, all of the tone marks, strategically, step by step, throughout the 30 lessons. I'm going to explain about the 30 lessons a little bit. 30 lessons means kind of like 30 chapters in a book. Some people read a chapter much faster than other people. Some people it depends on how much time you put into it. So we don't actually know exactly how long this is going to take you. It's going to be up to you, what you put into it, how frequently you come. If you end up doing the homework, which the homework, by the way, is very easy. All it is recording your teacher, the new words. She's recording her by video, and then re-watching, re-listening, maybe trying to repeat what she said. It gets stuck in your head, you're really hearing it. And like a toddler, you start to speak little by little. They're understandable, but you'll develop in time. So we have placed the 30 lessons where you're learning every lesson you're going to be learning new ones, so that by the end of the 30 lessons, you've actually learned and become familiar with, not mastered, all of the words that you've presented with from many common nouns and verbs that you use on your day-to-day basis, adjectives, pronouns, prepositions, things that will be critical for life in the beginning. And then you're going to be presented with these things and they'll be added up. So by the end, you can actually go back through in 1B, the same exact lessons, but this time your teacher is going to have you much more involved. Instead of just pointing, it might be where the teacher points and then you say it, or the teacher says it and you write it, or you write it and you put the pictures together. So it's so much more fulfilling. So you could probably study for a solid 6 months. Some people will take 6 months, some people 3 months for 1A and 1B. It really depends on what you put into it. I will say that a really typical or common way to study GPA would be 2 hours in the morning with about a 5-minute break in between, and then 2 hours in the afternoon. That way, especially if you're really here and you're eager to learn, it's not too much. Other programs, when you learn a second language, it's exhausting after an hour and a half. 2 hours, you're done. But because GPA's method is fun, engaging, it's games, you're standing up, you're sitting down, you're walking around, you go around the school, you're touching, you're constantly thinking and moving, it's much easier to do it. So it's really up to you. If you have someone that wants to study with you, you can study together or you can study separately. ARDA has those several options. Another component to what we're doing with GPA is making videos. So I mentioned that you'll be recording your teacher as they demonstrate how to say certain words with the cards, but also we have recorded a number of video series for you along the way, specifically for things that are tricky or complicated. We have videos that feature me and Khan, the other teacher, who can speak really good English and can explain it to you. Your GPA teacher, his or her job is actually to try to speak with you in Lao as much as possible. If you have a question that's really hanging you up, go ahead and ask it and show it on your face. Show your teacher, like, most of your lesson is actually pretty quiet. Your job is to kind of sit there and listen and do, just like a baby. But if you have a question, and especially the last 5 or 10 minutes of your lesson is always available for you to, okay, I see the clock's running. Teacher, I have a question. That's the time to do it. Your teacher may have the ability to answer that question. Your teacher may not. They may need to get help from another supervisor, and that's okay. Sometimes the question you have may be more complicated than a level 1 question, and it may be something to say, you'll learn it, just wait. Trust the process. It's a really good process. But one of the things that we've done is made videos for those more complicated issues that come up along the way. Those things will be available to you. Your teacher will show them to you, send them to you via WhatsApp. We may even upload them to YouTube for your easy access. So I really hope you enjoy it. You are allowed to, if you want to, continue to study. Perhaps you want to study GPA in the morning. In the afternoon, you want to study traditional Lao with the classic book. that's also fine. All of this is your options, what makes the most sense to you. But do trust the process of learning, and don't get stressed out that you don't know all the words. Your goal in that first GPA 1A, your goal is to get familiarity and not mastery. Mastery comes the second time around when you're able to now see it in your mind, like the letters, you've touched it, you can hear it, you can say it. That's when the mastery will come. So give yourself grace and space to be able to take your time. There's no rush, there's no stress. It's all up to you. So I really am excited for you. I'm excited about all the things you're going to learn and be able to say and do and recognize, and really get yourself off on the right foot so that when you do finally start speaking, you speak and can hear yourself making mistakes, because you go, that doesn't sound right. I don't think I said it correctly, just like a child is, or when you're learning an instrument. Being a tonal language is definitely a big thing to embark on, and I'm sure you're gonna do great.